Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk. I'm Jose, your host with Memory Lane Comics, and today I'm here with Mr. Jon Trainer.
Hello.
John is a local artist, writer, just talented creator. You have a good amount of books under your belt now. I think you have 2 issues of Want, Little, and then I think you have 3 stories in Tales of Cape Fear.
Yeah, 3 Tales of Cape Fear, Little, and one, actually only one out right now. The second one I'm finishing up.
Gotcha. I saw it on your website for like Substack and stuff like
yeah, I'm publishing the pages as I finish them.
Gotcha.
on my newsletter on Substack, just to try to build up the hype and the excitement behind it, and just to add a little undue pressure on myself to get things out the door.
No, that's awesome, man. All of your books, all of your creations are pretty diverse. Like, you're not really married to any one genre from what I've read. Little is very, very easily accessible. Like, anyone can jump in. It's like pretty much an all ages kind of deal. Tales of Cape Fear leans more a little bit into the spooky side of things, and then Want is more of like a Indiana Jones type adventure story too. How do you decide what kind of story you want to tell, what genre you're leaning into?
That's a good question. For the Tales of Cape Fear, usually when I jump onto one of the books, there's a theme with the book, and each year I don't know how the themes are decided, but they're decided, and so we submit stories to match the theme, and I just try to pick things I haven't done before, not to repeat myself, try something different, push myself to draw something or tell a story that I haven't done before, or explore something different. So, and then Little was my first one, which I did for an online drawing contest, like draw 30 ink drawings in a month type of thing.
Gotcha. The Inktober kind of deal.
Exactly, Inktober, 2017. And I'd never drawn a comic before, and I was just trying to like come up with all the ideas of what I was going to do for the 30 days. And then it dawned on me that I could try to do a comic. And
do a long
so
form.
I sketched it all out and did 1 panel a day and finished it that way. So, and that was just inspired by our cat. So, things that I would see her do every day. And it's like, this is kind of funny.
That's so cool. What's your cat's name?
Little.
Perfect.
Of course.
I figured, but that's brilliant. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's adorable. You mainly work in like black and gray and
mostly ink. 90% of it is traditional, start pencil and then ink over the top of it, and then depending on what it is, heavy ink washes and tones. Sometimes I use screen tones, like the old Ben-Day type dots that I will put on the paper, and a lot of water and ink and watercolor sometimes.
I was about to ask if I felt like there was a little bit of watercolor. I was gonna say your like art style itself is as versatile as like your genres and your stories are too. Because I see a lot of like heavy inking in there, but then the background will be this like really, really pretty watercolor blend. Like in Little, I think there's a shot of the moon, and it's just gorgeous, man. It's so pretty. And I think there's I think it was Little also, where there's a character and his hair is just like bold, like solid inks, and then some of the stuff around him is like this really, really soft, well blended like watercolor. So like it's.
I wish I could say it was like on purpose, but I think it's just I haven't been doing this very long, so it's just trying to figure out how to do stuff.
Man, it looks very purposeful. It looks.
Thanks.
No, it looks really good. When I was looking over your stuff, I was like, oh my god! Like, how do you decide what's gonna be what? Is it just like the path of least resistance? You're like, okay, I think this is easier to do with inking, and then.
I think I tend to move to like the watercolor and washes when it's like with Little, it was the first story in the book is all at night, and so to me night is more interesting when you can kind of see through it and not just be just pitch black. Right?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to play with that that feel and a lot of it is ink wash, but there's a lot of watercolor mixed with ink to give it that transparency, because watercolor is transparent, ink tends to not be. And so I use the watercolor to give it kind of a feel of like there's something beyond that veil that you're looking through.
Yeah.
And similar with Want, there are a lot of underwater,
Yes.
and it's all like a mixture of ink to give it the dark, and then watercolor over the top to give it that transparency feeling. So, same idea, which I learned on Little, and I said, "Oh, this will work."
Yeah,
Underwater.
it works very. I read I don't own a copy of Little yet. I was going on your website and seeing like the panels on there, but I technically Want first, so it's really cool to see how you learned from Little and moved on to Want and used what you learned to expand on, or like to even to use it for like a different story altogether, to use your art style to tell a different story is really, really cool, man. That's fascinating. Out of all of the, we carry all of your, well, we carry Want and Little at Memory Lane Comics at the shop, and we have books and prints and stuff from various different artists, but I think from what I've seen as a retail employee, not just like a comic book person, but just from a retail perspective, your stuff tends to sell more frequently and better than any of the other stuff we carry.
That's good to hear.
It's really cool, man. I mean, I do a lot of the restocking for that spinner section.
Yeah.
So I'm usually one of the first people to notice, like, oh shoot, we're out of Want, we're out of Little, and I think out of all of the people that bring us books outside of maybe Tales of Cape Fear, you're the only one that actually like keeps up with bringing more and like reprinting and staying on top of it.
Well, I come every week to buy books, so I look at the spinner and there's missing books, and I bring more.
But I think that's like that's a really cool trait that I don't see in a lot of the artists that ask about getting a book in our store and stuff. They'll usually just kind of come in, ask about it. If it works out, they'll bring it in, and then that's kind of it. That's like end of story. But yeah, you keep checking in. You take notice whenever like something sells out in like a week. You're like, holy cow, I just brought you guys more. This is really cool. But with that aside, like I think your stuff is, I don't know, it's designed so well to sell off of a spinner. I don't know.
That was on purpose, for sure.
I was about to ask what goes into the designing of the cover, because you have like the title up top, very, very kind of simple, direct cover art.
A lot of research.
Yeah.
Looking at books that I like, creators that I think are successful, and not just currently, but over time, and doing a lot of searches like, what are the best or most famous, comic book covers, and what are the traits that they had, and most of them are, I hate to use the word simple, but economical.
Yeah.
You can read it from a distance of what it is, and the title's on the top, and I literally went to comic book shops and looked at where the title was to see how it stood up above the the row in front of it, whether it was on the shelf or on a spinner, and figured out that's where it had to go.
That's cool. I mean, it paid off. It works. We have a lot of, especially around the summer season, we have a bunch of people from out of town that will just be in for the day, and they just pop into the shop, probably not planning on necessarily picking something up, and they'll give the spinner a little spin, and they'll see the cat, they'll see Little, and they're like, oh my god, and it's local, sure, and they'll scoop it, and it's just such a cool thing to see. But also on the other side of that, we have some pretty refined collectors that they come in knowing what they like, knowing what they want to get, and they'll still end up picking up like your Xenomorph print or something like that. So like all across the board, you're tapping into everyone. Like your stuff is just so versatile that.
Good to hear. Thanks.
Yeah, no,
I was just drawing what I like.
That's so cool, man. I've seen on your website you have multiple other prints, but I think I could be wrong, but I think you've only brought in the Xenomorph one.
No, I have another one that's like a shark or Jaws.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Play on with a
The selfie one.
the guy taking a selfie as he's like throwing beer cans into the water.
Yeah.
That one sold pretty well actually, like 2 years ago or over the summer. I guess another one of those people come to the shore.
Yep.
And what's more fun than sharks?
Something themed.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's so cool, man. I mean, there's like strategy, I guess, that goes into
A little bit, yeah.
And even with the frame you brought the alien prints in, they're beautiful. Just that like extra little step to or the extra effort to present your work, I think goes a long way. Just the presentation in itself is like artistic almost also. But no, you're crushing it, man. All across the board, I think your stuff is like super accessible and people love it, man.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. But on the topic of selling your stuff in the shop, how did that come to be? How did you approach the comic shop itself? I know you've been a customer for a while. You've been a member of our graphic novel book club for as long as I've been there, at least, and I think maybe a little more, like another year before that too. But when did the topic come up?
That's a good question. I wish I remembered exactly how it happened. I think one of the Wednesdays I came in for books, I was just chatting with Jake or Ben. I don't remember. This is probably 3 years ago. And I found out about the Tales of Cape Fear, book 1. Mm-hmm. And I asked about how to get into it, and I'd missed the deadline. But that got the conversation going between Jake and I about making comics and what it takes to get a book into a store. And I asked some questions and advice on what would Memory Lane need to have a book, and would they ever carry indie books, because they're already carrying the first Tales of Cape Fear at that point. And I didn't have, I hadn't done a Tales yet, but I had Little. It was very nice with some advice about put the UPC on the back and the price and all that, the basic things that a lot of indies don't do.
Yeah.
And I had never done that, so I had to go figure out how to do that, which wasn't that hard. But got some books printed and brought Little in, and just as a test, I just did a few copies, and they sold, and so then said, "Hey, bring some more in." So just kept doing that, and then they let me know about the next Tales book, and so I got into that, and so I just started that cycle of just
got the
having
ball
the conversation, and he was excited about highlighting local creators already with the Tales book, obviously, but also just having books in the store. And so as that went forward, and then eventually when I came out with Want Number 1, I said, "Hey, would you want to cover this?" And he's like, "Absolutely," and put that up. So it's just a very natural progression over just asking a few questions and I guess jumping on the opportunity when I saw the first Tales book. Mostly because I had interest in just getting into it. I wasn't trying to sell anything.
Right.
It started the conversation.
Got on the topic of it and facilitated the conversation.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm sure it helped that you were very like personable with the shop. Everyone knows you over there. I think we have a lot of, or a fair amount of people that come in and they're people sometimes I've never seen before, and they're like, "Hey, how do I get my book on the shelf?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." Would you have any advice to someone who, for any aspiring artist or anyone that has a comic, to get their book into like their local comic shop?
Well, the same advice Jake gave me is think about it as a business, how it's going to show on the shelf. Have your title at the top.
Yep, full circle.
Has to fit above the book in front of it. A UPC or barcode on the back. There's a bunch of different ways of doing it, but go ask the local store you want to list it in, and ask them what kind of barcode they want on it, or what information they want on it, and just ask. I think I don't know about most stores, but a lot of stores I've been in are excited about having stuff that other stores don't have.
That's true.
And if you have local artists or local creators, other stores across town or in another town don't have them.
Yeah.
So they'll be excited about that. So just reach out and try.
Yeah, that brings me to my next point. Do any other like local stores or any other comic shops carry your
Not
books
so
right
far. Memory Lane's exclusive so far.
Let's go, Memory Lane. Come and get them. They're genuinely very, very good. That's super cool, man. I've heard Jake give people some of the spiel too, and I mean, just from the little bit I've picked up, like the more work on your end that you're doing, the less work the comic shop has to do, the more inclined they're going to be to
make
carry
it
your
easy
stuff
for
too.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't make the retailer do any work.
Yeah.
You want to do all the work for them so they don't have to do anything. Just put it on the shelf and sell it.
One of the big questions I hear a lot is, how much should I charge for this? And at that point, we're like, I don't know. Like, how much do you have invested into it? Whether it's time, materials, and printing and all that stuff. Like, I have no clue what you're looking at, but like, we can tell you most books we have are about $5. So, like,
yeah, that's a tough thing. Because, in fact, I did a new print run, and just from 2 years ago, prices have gone up a lot, almost double what I had to pay to have them printed before. And obviously, it depends on who you print with, and if you're going digital or offset, traditional printing. But you have to take into the cost, and then you have to make some money off of it. You got to treat it like a business.
Yeah.
Treat it like a hobby, and not try to make any money on it. And that's all it's ever going to be. So
interesting. And you said you had just sent Little to get reprinted, but there was a hiccup with the...
Yeah, there was some shipping problems. The books were damaged, and as you know, a lot of times a box gets dropped or
rained on
or something, and I can't sell them. So I had to reorder, and of course I waited too long to reorder, but I have some big shows coming, and then if everything goes well, you're fine. But if something doesn't go well, then now you're, a little bit under the gun. So kind of crossing my fingers, hoping that the printer comes through quickly and shipping comes through flawlessly. So
fingers crossed.
Well, I guess we'll sell a lot of stickers. I don't know.
Which are also fire. I have one, I think, somewhere. Yeah, I have
cool.
the astronaut rooster on my laptop. Dude, I'm a massive Halloween fan, and I would think some people think it's a little early to start prepping for it, but I feel like now is a pretty good time to start getting into the mood of the holiday, into the spirit of Halloween. And I always really appreciate your takes and your like breakdowns, your analysis on books from book club, and not even that, but just like movies and just everything in media in general. When we break off into like that post book club group where we have like dinner and stuff, I love hearing your take on stuff. So I wanted to I guess I wanted to see what horror comics or graphic novels you would recommend to people, to our listeners, to get into the spirit of Halloween. It doesn't necessarily have to be horror, just anything, I guess, that would get you into that like autumny feel.
It's a good question. Pretty much any James Tynion.
Yeah. I think Tynion, James Tynion the fourth. Yeah.
Those books are I dig most of his stuff.
No,
it's very approachable. It's creepy and scary, but not enough to like turn you off, right?
And
which some can do.
He has so much stuff too. Like he has
storytelling,
huge variety of stuff that leans from like action thriller to like sci-fi horror to just kind of the Department of Truth, almost like X-Files-y.
Yeah, and he's found he's paired up with like some really great artists that fit the feel of each book really well, and they aren't your traditional, comic book. What people think of comic book artists, like Department of Truth, like that art is it's just very different than everything else you see, but it's so
good.
cool.
It's some of the best, but you would never think like, oh, I'm gonna read a comic book and expect that from a comic. I think he uses like mixed mediums too. He has like
I don't know. I wish I could decode how that's really cool.
No, he's unreal.
That stuff. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Lemire.
Oh yeah.
And pretty much anything he comes out with is maybe not necessarily Halloween, but it's like that Twilight Zone, Twin Peaks realm, which I like. As always has a kind of a dark edge to it that's fun.
On the topic of Jeff Lemire, you did a fan art of Fish Flies also.
I did, yeah. I fell in love with that book. I think he started releasing it on his Substack. That's actually how I found Substack originally.
Yeah.
And he was releasing it like page by page on there. And I just instantly fell in love with that story and the main character, Franny. And when he went to print and I got that first book, I was like, oh, I need to draw her. So it just came out.
It genuinely looks like it could be a cover on the book. It fits the cool. Style like so well, especially like Lemire's art style. I don't know. It fits like right in with his stuff. I think it's very, very well done. All right, so yeah, you're working on Want 2 currently, and you said you have a couple of shows coming up.
Yeah, so I'm trying to finish Want. I hate to really reveal like dates and numbers and stuff because you don't want to promise stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to have it done soon. I do have the cover drawn. I have most of the pages drawn. Everything's written and everything. So it's just have to head to the drawing board and finish up. So I'm hoping to have it soon. It won't be done for the next big show, which is SodaCon?
Soda City, I think.
Soda City Comic Con? Yes.
I think.
Sounds like, yeah. So that's fun. It's my first show outside the immediate area aside from a couple of small shows in Raleigh. So kind of a big thing.
That's awesome.
Like throw everything in the car, drive out, hotel, all that kind of stuff.
Heck yeah, big moves.
So feels a little risky for me. You got to make enough money to make it worth it, but
getting your name out there.
But excited.
Yeah. When is that coming up?
August 24th, 25th.
Definitely go give Jon some love. Check out his stuff. Pick up some of his books. Hopefully the reprints are there.
They'll be there.
Yep. If not, check out his website. I think you should always be able to find his stuff through there too. As long as it's in print, you can get it ordered. Or I think some of it is digital as well. I think I saw Want.
So Want is, you can read it if you sign up for my Substack. You can go through and read every single page, including pages I finished for Want 2. And Little is just in book format for now. And then the Tales stuff obviously is book format as well.
Yeah.
Unless you did the most recent Kickstarters, I think they did.
There was a digital copy through there. Yeah, for one of the...
Some people could have got it through
there. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm toying with digital at some point, but just haven't gotten there yet.
There's something... I mean, and you like work paper, in traditional for the most part also. And just like going through your website and having like a book in person, it's not the same. Having the physical book, there's just something special about it. And the pacing when you're reading it, turning the page to reveal a big splash page. Like,
and the spreads, how you design the pages, but you also design the whole spread, right? And so the way when you turn, it changes like the color palette, if you're doing color, or the tones or whatever, is a big part of it. So
the binding and all that stuff. Yeah. No, absolutely. And for as far as Want goes, how far do you plan on going with that?
That's a good question. The idea of the story was very much inspired by early fandom days of like Conan or Battlestar Galactica or something like that, where not really the monster of the week type thing, but you set up this world or this universe where you can come in and out of mini arcs, and then together you have a longer arc, right? But you're trying to solve the current problem, and each time you solve that, you kind of move forward in the overall arc.
Yeah.
So, so the first arc, I kind of think it's going to be three floppies, 3 issues, and then I'll try to turn that into a trade. And then I have a bunch of ideas for things after that. You know, the final one will set up kind of the ongoing thing.
Gotcha.
But I just haven't really locked those down into what those stories are. Lots of ideas, lots of characters, and things to go, but we'll see how that goes. I've got so many other ideas I want to hit too, so it's kind of, I jumped into this thinking, how long is it going to take to draw a long story? And then, it takes so long. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We might take a break and do something else in between and then jump back.
Have you ever tinkered with the idea of partnering with anyone, like doing writing and or just the writing side of it or just the art side of things?
I have. It's crossed my mind. Part of it is the idea that the knowledge that I have so many ideas that I want to get out, but I can't possibly draw them all. It takes too long. So I think that writing something for somebody else to draw is appealing. I have talked to a couple of people about drawing their books, and for one reason or another, it hasn't worked out. I don't know if that's as appealing as the writing for somebody else thing. I kind of like drawing my own story.
For sure.
But who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
if the right situation came up and the right partnership, of course I would jump on it.
As someone who does both, I can only imagine that that giving up sort of like some of the control of how the story's gonna look can be a little tough sometimes too.
I haven't done it, so I don't know. But working on other creative projects in my life, there are wonderful things about collaborating because you get surprised, and people come up with ideas that you would never have come up with, or do things in a different way, which is amazing. But then, there's working with other people that brings challenges and joys and challenges, right?
For sure. Yeah, it's just, I guess it takes finding the right person. I think it has to be the right person. Yeah, finding the chemistry and making sure you guys are both at least wanting to tell the same good story.
Yeah. You have to be on enough of the same page to move it forward and have fun. I think that's the key is, are you going to have fun doing it?
Yeah.
So.
Sweet. Awesome. Jon, thank you so much for giving us time out of your day, man. Thanks for having me. This was fun. Yeah, this was a blast, man. Thanks for sharing. I hope to have you back when Want To prints, and let's get that done. Let's get it, man. I'm very much looking forward to it, man. I really dug issue 1. I can't wait to see what else you have in store. Thank you. But no, man, thank you so much for everything. Thanks. Yeah. This is fun, and the show you guys are doing so far is fun. It was fun to see Joe last issue. Yeah. Last episode. Yeah, last issue. Let's call it an issue. Episode. I like it. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. No, man, I'm looking forward to having you back too. But thank you guys for tuning in too. We filmed this one actually out of Memory Lane Comics Part 2, which is at 222 Princess Street. Let us know what backdrop you like more. If you like this one, you like the back room. Put it in the comments down below. Let's start a little discussion. Yeah, for sure. We'll get some feelers out there. But yeah, definitely swing by either of the stores. We're located in downtown Wilmington, North Carolina, at 201 Princess Street, Part 1, and then 222 over here at Part 2. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see y'all next month. This episode was recorded at Memory Lane Comics. Check out our shops in downtown Wilmington, North Carolina. Follow us on Instagram at Memory Lane Comics and at Memory Lane Comics Part 2, and on TikTok at Memory Lane Comics and Toys. Links to all social media in the episode description.